If you are doing your research paper, thesis, or dissertation, then reading journal articles is a difficult task because reading articles is essential to find your interested topic, conduct research, and review articles. At the start of research, supervisors only ask you to read as many articles as you can. ChatGPT has made this process very easy. Sometimes it happens that you have a few Google Scholar articles, and you want to extract specific question and answer information from an article. However, the article may be long and technical. In such cases, you can use this prompt on ChatGPT. Does this article answer this question? Then, insert your question, like I did. Which digital monitoring tools detect emerging reputational risks? Next, go back to the article and copy the entire introduction and literature review sections. The literature review will help you identify previous studies related to your question. Then, click Send, and ChatGPT will tell you whether the article provides an answer. For example, ChatGPT responded, yes, the article does address the question, which digital monitoring tools detect emerging reputational risks, but only indirectly and in the context of AI-powered systems. In this case, I asked about digital monitoring tools, but the article focused on AI tools. I still found it useful, so I wanted to read more. I then asked ChatGPT, which section of the article has this answer? ChatGPT replied, the answer is primarily found in Section 2.2, Natural Language Processing, NLP, and Section 2.3, AI-powered data analytics. So, I went back to the article and copied these sections. Since the content seemed technical, I asked ChatGPT to simplify these sections with easy explanations. ChatGPT rephrased them in very simple terms, which helped me understand how it relates to my question. For example, it explained, NLP can detect patterns in data, such as whether customer feedback is positive or negative, which helps protect a company's reputation. I felt the explanations were still brief, so I edited and asked ChatGPT to expand them into longer paragraphs. Now, every explanation is clear and simple, like, sentiment analysis, a part of NLP, can classify opinions as positive or negative. You can use this process to better understand or read technical papers efficiently. In research, sometimes we also need direct quotes from articles to support our arguments. ChatGPT can extract key quotes as well. For example, you can use a prompt like, give me 3 direct quotes from this article that support the research, and then add your topic. My topic is machine learning for sustaining cybersecurity in digital banks. Next, go back to the article and copy the text. You do not need to copy the methodology section because ChatGPT cannot accept very long text. Only copy the introduction section, skip the methodology section, and then copy the remaining part before the conclusion. After that, paste all these sections into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will extract 3 relevant quotes. It even highlights the section names, such as Section 3.4, Machine Learning. If you want, you can then go back to that section in the article and read the full section in detail. And if you are doing thematic analysis for research, it can be time-consuming to read each article separately and identify common themes across them. You can use a prompt with ChatGPT such as, list the central common themes from these 3 articles and explain them in detailed paragraphs. Use headings. Paste all 3 articles one by one, but only copy the results section of each article. Make sure to number the articles as 1, 2, and 3, and paste them sequentially. I recommend using only 3 articles, as adding more may make the text too long. ChatGPT then writes the shared themes across all articles. It explains similarities using phrases such as across all 3 articles or all 3 articles converge on the view that. It also discusses limitations, challenges, ethical concerns, and research gaps identified across these articles. In this way, you can review and understand all 3 articles together in just a few minutes. Similarly, if you want to create a summary for a presentation or notes, you can use a prompt such as, make a 1-page summary of this article, including the research question, methods, results, and conclusion. Then, copy the entire article. If you think the article is very long and ChatGPT may not accept it, you do not need to copy the results section. Instead, copy only the introduction, background, literature review, methodology, and discussion sections, because the results are often also presented in the discussion section. Then paste this content into ChatGPT. ChatGPT provides a well-structured summary. It clearly identifies a concise research question and directly explains the methodology, such as a randomized controlled study with an intervention group and a control group, along with tools like the Dranitzarus scoring system. Similarly, it explains the results and conclusion sections in simple and clear language. If you want to understand the theoretical framework, you can use a prompt such as, "Explain the theoretical framework used in this research in simple terms." This helps you understand how to write the theoretical framework in your thesis. For example, ChatGPT explains that the theory used in the paper is the symptom management theory, SMT. It divides the theory into 3 parts and also explains how it relates to the research article. An important part of the theory is symptom management strategies. In this study, nurses assess each patient's risk of CNV using the Dranitzarus scoring system and then provide tailored interventions based on that assessment. Sometimes, you may not understand whether an article is credible or not because the methodology and results sections seem very technical. In such cases, you can use a prompt like, "Does the methodology described in this article adequately support the results? Summarize the strengths and weaknesses of this research study." ChatGPT explains this using simple language. For example, it states that the study uses a controlled comparative design, validated measurement tools, an a priori sample size calculation, and a theory-driven intervention based on symptom management theory, all of which strengthen internal validity. It also discusses the strengths of the study and highlights strengths such as a theory-based intervention design and the use of validated and reliable instruments. ChatGPT also explains the weaknesses and limitations of the research study, such as cluster allocation by treatment ward rather than true individual randomization, which increases the risk of selection bias and contamination. In this way, using less time, you can read and understand research articles from different perspectives. ChatGPT can describe charts, graphs, or tables in simple words. Use a prompt like, "Explain these tables in simple terms, highlighting the main trends." Then copy and paste the tables you want to understand into ChatGPT. You will see that ChatGPT explains all the tables in simple language. For example, Table 1 shows who is in each group. None of the differences between the 2 groups are statistically significant, meaning one group is not healthier or sicker than the other at baseline. Similarly, it explains Table 2 and Table 3, highlighting the statistical trends in simple words. Similarly, you can use ChatGPT to interpret graphs. Go to the graph you want to understand and copy it. Then paste the graph into ChatGPT and use a prompt like, "Explain this image." You will see that ChatGPT explains the graph in simple terms. For example, it states that a pie chart shows how nurses rate the percentage of patients who achieve a complete response to antiemetic treatment. ChatGPT converts the statistics into easy-to-understand terms. The green slice, 34%, indicates nurses who say 26 to 50% of patients achieve a complete response. This shows a substantial group experiencing moderate effectiveness. Similarly, you can use other prompts as well, such as, "Quickly pinpoint the core research questions and hypotheses of the study." Example prompt for ChatGPT, "List the research questions and hypotheses from this paper." Create a research map. AI can illustrate connections between variables, methods, and findings in a visual or textual map. Example prompt for ChatGPT, "Map out the relationship between independent and dependent variables and the findings in this study." In this way, you can use ChatGPT to read Google Scholar articles and journal papers in multiple ways.